What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, club swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Good news. I called TradingView. I called their tech team yesterday. So they fixed it. They said, okay, no more red candles. We'll just do green candles from here on out. So we got a little bit of a tiny little run up this morning, which is good. But in all seriousness, I hope you guys will survive the recession of 2024 yesterday. It's pretty crazy. We'll see what happens though. We got Bill in the house. Good morning to you. We got Brad, Cheryl. Good morning, Cindy. D's in the house. Good morning, Frank. Jenny. Good morning, Jay, Joe, JT, Kevin, Lou. We got Lucian, Matthew, Tim. Good morning to all of you guys. All my people out at YouTube land. We got Clarice in the house. I feel like I haven't seen you in a couple days, Clarice. What's going on? What's going on, Clarice? And then all my lurkers in the background. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe buttons. But like I said, we got a little gap up. We got some TSM earnings that came out earlier. So market kind of rallying on that. Their numbers were pretty good. So I don't know. Maybe chips back in play. People getting a little hopeful that AI chip play is not quite dead yet. We'll see. We'll see. But we do have a little bit of gap up on the SPY, pretty much where we opened yesterday, maybe a tad higher. We'll see. Obviously, 26 minutes until this bell rings. I don't know. Still inside day. I would think we probably actually get a drop. I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna break through yesterday's VPOC, but I got that at 558.05. So I think we do pull back probably into that number. Then the big question is, do we actually break through it? If so, the next level down, 556.85, but we already hit that one yesterday. So it's going to be a little bit easier to break through today, and we might see that further sell-off. If the bulls could step in and really hold that 558 zone, then I would almost assume we get something that looks a little bit more like this. And then probably, I don't know, kind of come up, retest the zone up here somewhere. Something to that effect if we're going to try to hang out bullish. That zone takes me to about 559.69, so we got some room up there. Prefer, again, especially being an inside day, that we could pull back a little bit. We get some people who maybe are a little bit on the edge of their seat about locking gains in and just kind of using this gap up as an opportunity to get out. So again, we'll see if that support holds. I think one way or the other, we probably come down there. The question is, I would almost rather us open, we sell first and then bounce. If we go bullish at open and we start rejecting that 559.73, I think we might get that momentum picking up throughout the day. That is a clear breakthrough, that support. And again, that's where it starts to get a little bit concerning to the downside. So we'll see. Just a little hangout day from yesterday, but there is some bullish sentiment today coming in. We do have Netflix earnings tonight, so that is something that can move the markets, just kind of give us more confidence about the consumer, as people tightening up their budgets, not paying for Netflix, subscribers down. We'll see, but we're headed deep. We're starting to get deep into the earnings season. We're starting to get there. We have another week or so, and then we got all these big major companies coming out. But Netflix is on the agenda for today. So if you're got some positions, need to protect it, or if you're just long-term investing and just holding no matter what, that's all good. You don't have to worry about it. But you got the Qs coming out with a gap and go as well. Still inside yesterday's candle. I'm looking for support. They've actually done a good job. Bulls actually, surprisingly, even though that candle looks pretty horrific, they did close right where we kind of had to. So I got big support. We didn't quite even get down there. 481.25. A small resistance above us. I don't think this one's going to be too impactful, but 486.09. It's about 12 cents above us. If we could get above that 446.09 zone, I would be looking for a bigger move, 490 retest. And then we still have this wide open gap from yesterday as well. So if we start breaking above yesterday's candle, I think more than likely 493.10, whether today or tomorrow. And then I think this 495.64 would be pretty much a good retest spot for the Qs, even if it does want to eventually kind of come down further. But this is a big pullback. I mean, we've had a good pullback from 503.47 all the way down to 481.90 with the matter of 5 days. That is a fairly decent pullback in a bullish market. So we'll see if some buy the dippers come in. I think it's going to depend heavily on probably those earnings coming out. But again, gap and go bullish. That would be bullish sentiment at least out of the gate. If we do pull back, which I'd almost still prefer to see, but 483.55 is that line in the sand that I want to see hold. And then targets, there's a few spots of resistance. I don't know how strong they are, but the bigger one I think 490.04. So couple spots to give us a little pause on the way up. Otherwise, we'll see if we could hold those supports, which would be the main thing. Cheryl says, be ready for a head and shoulders on the Qs. I'm always ready for that head and shoulders. Yeah, just I'll wake up. Wake up ready to go. Uh, that's a good question. Should we be ready for the head and shoulders? Here's our uptrend, right? Long-term uptrends. We haven't really broke that yet. We got close to it yesterday. Well, we got close to the line. We didn't get really close to breaking it, but we got kind of close to that line. We're still holding this uptrend, even though like I said, we can sell off a lot and still be pretty bullish. So the question is, should we be ready for that head and shoulders? I would say yes, but I think that would look something like this. Again, getting back into this little resistance zone up here. That's where I think we'd really have to worry, because it's either we do this and then we bounce one more time bullish, or we start to break through, then we do something like this, and I think that would be the play to the downside. But I think this gap would probably have to fill first. So if you're looking for the top of the head and shoulders, I'd be looking up here. So until we get to this zone, and even if I think we get rejected off the zone, I think there has to be one more bounce or breakthrough of this line for us to either go bullish or bearish. But this spot somewhere over here, after we've already retested, then I'm putting on my head and shoulders cap. But yeah, it could set up. It's just very early still. Tim says no red in an hour. So we're due, is what you're saying. Tim Tim is pretty much saying, yeah, no, we're good. We're good. Look at that. All greens. That's normal. hmm Nothing to see here. But yeah, like I said, on spine cues, I'd almost rather we sell at the very open, give the chance for some of those bulls to I would say not even give the bulls a chance. I would say chance, right? So if we sell off, there's a lot at this gap right now, even though it's still inside day on the cues. There's a lot of all those bears. Anybody who went short in that zone, they're going to be trapped. Are they going to freak out on this candle? Probably not. If we gapped up here, then all those guys freak out. They're selling because now we've actually done something in the market. This gap where we're opening right now, yeah, it's a little concerning, but I think more or less they're like, okay, well, we've got stops up here, so we're not stopped out yet. We're probably wrong on this direction. The market got us again. I think if we get back down into this support zone, that gives a good majority or most people the opportunity to just get out of their position. So I think the bears try to clear their positions, get back for a small loss or break even. And then I think that's a spot for the bulls to step in. So I would much rather this happen first. I think we have a much bigger, stronger move if we can sell before we go long. Mm-hmm. We shall see. We shall see. Let me know if you guys got any tickers that you want to take a look at. INTC. Wait, not INTC. TLT. Oh, what am I doing today? What am I doing with my life? I don't know. TLT. So that one's gapping down, still kind of hanging out in the range, so nothing too crazy. We did have the 20-year bond yesterday. We didn't really get too much reaction from it. Let's take a look at IWM, which did have a pullback. I mean, it was kind of due a little bit, but gap wise, we do have a little bit of a gap down today. Now we have two VPOCs, one from yesterday, one from the day before. So we're starting to build a little bit of resistance. We have a little bit of potential reversal candle on IWM. A breakout like this, I think, is typically pretty hard to just instantly reverse, and all of a sudden we're breaking down past 201 almost immediately. So I'd have to draw some kind of a fib. I think the move, I don't know where this move really started. I'm going to go here. It could be a little bit lower. But even a 50% retracement takes me back to like this 213.32 zone. We do have a VPOC down there somewhere, so 213.79. Maybe if I put this where I think the actual move is. Yeah, so 212. Somewhere in this zone it would be a healthy retest, 212, 213. Even if we would get down all the way back to this 208.53, that's still a 618 retracement, and we got the moving averages catch up. So can we pull back a little bit and still be bullish? Yeah, of course. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to fade all the way back. The Bears would have to try extremely hard to get us back to a bearish position on the IWM, which could happen, but for the most part, I think any pullbacks here would be welcome buying opportunities for anybody. We got Coinbase. Let's take a look at BTC USD first. So yesterday, even though it was a red day, I know I almost had to jump out the window. It was a crazy day in the market. Some people got that reference. Big crash, 89? No, nothing. Okay. Bitcoin. So it did just kind of rest. We made it back. Interesting spot on the biddy for right now. So we got 65,178. That is a good resistance, and we're kind of pushing into that now. So can we break it? That's the question. Uh, if we can, I think Bitcoin ends up ripping from here, and that would take us to 66,500, 518. If we can't, watch this current low today. Today's low. If we start breaking today's low after that retest, most likely we come back to 6280 870, but I could see a bigger path down to maybe like 60,000 again. So it's going to be this is either our retest spot, or we could either make or break it from here. But if we start to fail, we start getting more closes even under 64,740. That would be my first indication of potential little retest and sell off and just kind of a bull fake out at this point. But coin, what are we doing on Coinbase? If it wants to break, if Bitcoin wants to break, this looks good. If Bitcoin is just retesting, I think we could still go bullish. I'm gonna actually put this one a little bit higher on my list for today for day trade. Again, I don't know what Bitcoin's gonna do, and that's gonna affect it. But target for me would get us back to this 258.21. That does give me a decent risk to reward support. It's still inside day, so let's see if we get some sell off out of the gate, especially if we get a bounce to 246.64. So if we come down, I'd even give it a little higher, 247.45. Let's see if we get a little bit of a pullback. It is still obviously bullish from yesterday's VPOC. We do have a nice little trend going. We've got a couple of bullish days in a row. Bitcoin's in no man's land in terms of can we get that break past that resistance. But if we can get a little bit of a sell-off, I wouldn't mind attempting. And then targets to this one would be about 250.21. So we've got some range. It's not in a crazy gap. It's nothing where I'm like, I got really awesome edge. I want to take it right out of the gate today. But being patient, watching it, I think it could be interesting. It's got some moves, and I got we still got the hood trade set up, so I'm hoping we get a break. Pins looks real good. Kind of, sort of. I was watching the price action yesterday. The gap down yesterday was horrific. It was a retest gap. We were looking as a team to try to make a trade somewhere around, I forget the exact price, but to go short somewhere around this 40.81 zone. We had a setup with some good intraday volume candles to take some break under, so we didn't get triggered, which is fantastic. The fact that it did rally, I don't even mind this wick because that was the resistance. We got rejected there like a champ. That was perfect. But now we're breaking above it. I still want to see this one fade today. I think buying opportunity would be somewhere around 41.36. That would give us targets. Although we got to get through another EMA at that point, but I think the next target at least takes us to 42.23. So that's about 40, cents of reward. My risk from here would be about 40 cents. So it's about a 1-to-1 at open. If I could get a little bit of a pullback, especially into this 41.36, it might be interesting. But yeah, just watching that trade yesterday, I was like, this thing moves so slow. I don't know. It was so if you're interested in a non-exciting one, pins might be the one for you. I might trade. I just threw it on number 2 for the list, so we'll see what happens. But I'd want that little sell off there first. HD says Diana. HD. Obviously bullish. I'm a little bit concerned about where we've already gone to without any real pullbacks. We did have one resting day, if that means anything. I do think targets on this one, the next target would take me to. So if you're in this thing already, I'm looking for 382.17. And then maybe if we break that, we can get a little bit higher into to kind of retest this 391 zone, 392. Has never been retested. I think we will eventually retest that at some point. Problem for me though is 1, 2, 3. It's an inside candle, so actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullish days in a row. This is a gap down, so it's looking a little bit different than the rest of the market. We've already kind of run into some resistance up here. This might be a spot where we could get either some kind of pullback or just some sideways chop. Let some of those moving averages catch up, but we've just exploded out of the box in this one. I wouldn't go long here, just too much in the way. Like I said, I'm not panicking if I'm in it. The next kind of support that I have to wait to see if we could hold up would be 368.61. Much better spot would be somewhere around this 363.14 or 360.12. Will get me some better risk reward. So again, inside day, I feel like we have a lot of inside days because today, because yesterday's candle was so big for a lot of these things. GOOGL. Googs. Inside day, gap and go. We got the 20 right above us. We are kind of at or slightly above this 182.51 zone. So that should have been our first little kind of rejection spot. We do have up here 183.97. That's the next one. We kind of got there yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if this one rallies out of the gate and then kind of fades and chops. I think we get a little chop skis on this one. WEN. Wendy's looking a little different. Was there news on this one? Wendy's is maintained as a hold by TD. People like the $5 meal, but they're losing money, they're saying. So you're telling me the cheaper you make something, the less margins you have? No, stop it. Just stop it. I don't know the volume that comes in here for day trading. I don't think I've ever taken a day trade on Wendy's. But that is a good gap down. Target for me, the first spot would be somewhere around 17.30. Got about 30 cents to the downside. And then next target about 17.20. So I give you about 40 cents. Even though it's a gap and go, let's see. I would love for this thing to get bought up until like 17.67. Reject that and then kind of come down. Give myself that extra kind of 7 pennies. But yeah, not a great gap and go. We did hit that 200. We kind of looks like we broke out. There might be some buyers. The question is where. And yeah, somewhere around that 17.30 would look good. And there's some greedy people at 16.95, I would imagine. I don't know the volume on this one. I don't know how well it trades. So for me, I'd probably stay out, but it could be a fun one to watch. A Roku. The Rokes. It's on the verge of maybe being fun. Lots of consolidation here. This is going to be now a lot of resistance. We hit that resistance. We tried to break through it. earnings coming out when is this a earnings run up play? This might be an earnings run up play. July 25th. Is that next week? I think that's next week. Yep, next week. I would not be surprised if we just do nothing on Roku until earnings. So where do we close at? Close kind of right into those resistance. We got that 200 right above us. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't do anything. Just shop here until another 3, 4 days. Good resistance of that 200. That 200 is going to be a major spot. Even if we get the break, I'm out at 67.91. I don't want to hold it through earnings. I don't think I want to hold it through earnings unless you really like Roku. But pretty good comeback. I haven't watched that one in a minute. GPS. The gap. The gap is a gapping. That's what it does. Literally called the gap for a reason. Consolidation station. We've held some really good support. We didn't quite. Did we fill this gap? I think we filled that gap to the penny on this one. We didn't really get down to that VPOC 2231. Not a great looking. I mean, that was a bearish gap and go yesterday. It's a little all over the place. Yep. You got this retest gap, great retest, closed week, gaps up, trap some bears, gaps down, trap some bulls, gaps up, trap some bears. Seems a little choppy. I don't know if I would day trade it, but if you want to make positions for either bullish, bearish, and then accumulate some positions for either way, sell if it breaks that little support, that could make sense. To the upside, we've never really got back to retest this 29.80 zone. What is this? 29.94. We've filled a gap. Interesting location to maybe build a swing. I wouldn't mind coming in for a swing trade, maybe somewhere above really like 24.40. But for right now, yeah, that's a quite the stagnant stock. Yeah, toast. Mm, toast looks very interesting. I'm gonna get this one really high on my list. This could be a fun little opening high wave 3 minute candle play. Even though it's at 52-week highs, we're not at all-time highs by any stretch of the imagination. Earnings do come out soon. August 7th, we got some time for earnings. Yeah, give me a small pullback. I don't even really want to see this thing get filled. 27.16. I don't want to come back down there. If I was bullish, hold this. Small little pullback either like to 27.65. Give me like 27.72. I don't know if they have high short float. I think so. Let's see. TOST. No. Short float is about 8.4. It's not horrific. Definitely trapping some bulls. Some bears. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that one at the opens. DHI. In terms of targets, I have no idea on that one. Looks like we got a decent amount of room. I'd just shoot for two. See what happens. DR Horton looking good. That has to be earnings. They don't move like this unless you get earnings. So that's an earnings play. News is out. We had a little bit of a run up into it. Great gap. Absolutely great gap. My question is, all of these people who made money on this pre-market run up held through earnings. I would expect at least a little bit deeper of a pullback on this one. So like toast, I didn't really want to see a pullback past that high of the peak. This one I wouldn't mind seeing come down for a full retest. 162.54. That being said, great gap. Uh, I wouldn't play it bearish. I would only be looking bullish on this one. Let me add this to the list. We'll get this one up there too. DHI. What do we got? 3 minutes left. Yeah, this one I'd be a little more cautious on, but just as much as I would love to see a pullback, it's positioned to run, so I might just miss it, but I'd have to try to execute a little patience. And then we got the vids on the list. The vids is a gap and go. We have a gap to fill. Uh, I'm thinking, I don't know what's going to happen on this one. If we get a full retest, I'd be looking for like 126.10. But there is really, really good resistance somewhere around 124.32. We maybe got some of those bulls. Again, we have TSM earnings that came out. They were good. That's going to put the balls back into Nvidia's court. So we'll see. But yeah, I'd probably try to get out or at least shave some shares off 124.19, and then the other half you're trying to see if you can get out somewhere around 125.96. So otherwise, really, really good gap. We've now completed. We got to close. We did get a lower low with a wick, but we did get a close right at that previous support. So that's turning into a decent looking support. Gap and go. There's a little bit of a yeah. I'd be thinking bullish today. The questionable part is targets, but if we are trapping a decent amount of bears in this one, we might see some follow through. Keep that one on the list. I like it. Bitcoin we did cover, so Bitcoin is just at a kind of a crucial spot. It's at the retest spot now. So I'd want to see this 165, 171, somewhere in that zone. I'd like to see that break out. Otherwise, this entire run up today is just a retest into that, letting some of those bulls kind of clear out their positions, and then maybe we get that pullback. But it all depends if we could break through. Otherwise, we ran out of tickers, I think. Interesting. Everybody on YouTube, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. I'm going to switch on over to my TOS.